What's up guys, I'm Holly, welcome back to my YouTube channel. A few months ago, I gave you guys a starter strength workout for runners. So people were asking, how do I start strength training? I've run for a long time, but I've never even ventured into a gym, never even thought about incorporating it. Where do I start? I gave you guys 4 bodyweight movements and I put them into a little workout at the end for you to do where you'd get some results even after a few weeks. One of you guys commented that you were ready for kind of a harder version of that workout. You've done it for a while, you've seen some results, but now you want to be challenged a little bit more. So that's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm giving you guys 4 brand new movements. They're a little bit more complex, a little more compound, so you have different things going on within the movement, but we're keeping it body weight so that you can do it anywhere. So hotel room, in a gym, not in a gym, you can do it in a tiny little space in your living room, whatever it is that you have, but you don't need any equipment for it. Just like last time, I'm going to break down each of the 4 movements from different angles, make sure you know exactly what you're doing, and then at the end, give you a workout to try that'll help get your heart rate up and really give you that extra practice on all of them so you can really see the benefits in your running. All right guys, movement number 1 is gonna be a crouched plank with an alternating reach. Now this is gonna be a build off of a plank hold for sure, definitely more challenging than that. It's also just gonna work that core stability and keep you really nice and strong in your posture for your running. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come down to the ground. I had a mat, but it was blowing around, so I decided to get rid of it. We're gonna start with your wrists right under your shoulders, your knees dropped right under your hips. So you're gonna be in this middle kind of plank position, kind of crunched up in a little tuck, and your knees are only an inch or 2 off the ground. So I start with my hands under the shoulders, my knees right under here, and I'm gonna pop them up just like that. And I'm gonna start by just kind of feeling what that's like in that position. A lot of you guys are gonna feel this in your quads pretty much right away. That's part of the burn and benefit here, but we wanna make sure you're really stable through those shoulders and really feeling it in the core too. So what I recommend is pulling the hips a little higher if you only feel it in the quads to engage those abs a little bit more. You'll feel more support there that way. Face you guys. So we're gonna lift up here. We've got that little plank position. We're gonna keep those hips a little higher, like I said, if we need to keep it more in the abs, less in the quads. Punch down here. And you're just light on those toes. From here, we're gonna start by just shifting weight over to the side without twisting. We're gonna shift over and we're gonna lift a hand. We're gonna come back to the middle. Shift to the other side, lift a hand. Just do a couple like this, right? And we're breathing. It's absolutely okay for your legs to burn, good for the abs to burn, and of course the shoulders. And we're just gonna get a feel for breathing there. From here, we're going to extend the arm fully out in front of us. So it's going to force us to be off that hand for a little bit longer before switching. So we're up in this plank. I'm going to shift over, get all my weight in my left oblique. I'm going to squeeze and I'm going to reach this hand up. Come back down, shift over. Here, it's like a little swing, almost like you've got a little hammock under those knees. Just different angles here. Shifting. What I'm not doing is hiking that shoulder up into the ear and creating tension, right? That's only about stabilizing your balance over one hand. It has nothing to do with the hand lifting off. So one last time here, we're shifting over, reach, reach. For even extra challenge, you cannot shift at all. You can try to stay right in place in that plank and try to just lift one hand at a time. You're gonna find the more you squeeze into the opposite oblique and the foot, the easier it is to lift that off without twisting or shifting around. So if I'm lifting the left hand off, I squeeze as hard as I can into my right side to lift. Same thing here to support. That is movement number 1. All right, I'm really excited about this next one. We're gonna teach you guys how to do an alternating single leg deadlift, but first I'm gonna show you how to do a normal deadlift. Of course, we've got only body weight today, so don't worry anything about injury or hurting your back or anything like that. If anything, this is gonna set you up for success if and or when you decide to add weight to this movement in the gym. Maybe you add a barbell, dumbbell, whatever it is. But today we are body weight only, so you're gonna learn how to do it correctly, safely, and hopefully effectively for your running. So we're gonna start with just feet right under the hips. I'm gonna have you guys start by just kind of lifting those toes and just getting the weight back to the heels. That's all I'm gonna have you do. Just start by this. Just a couple really small little rock backs. Just like that. Now we're gonna do a couple times where you're just gonna lean with a flat back over, stick the butt back as far as you can with mostly straight legs. They can bend a tiny bit, but I want you to just start by just leaning and down just like this. You might get a little stretch in the hamstring. As you start to lean, I want you to think really reaching the chest for the ground as you reach over, so you're not rounding. I'm not rounding, I'm actually reaching the chest and shooting the hips back behind me. You can tell I'm already doing it naturally, but now what I want you guys to do, lift those toes, weight back on the heels, and do the same thing. Just like this. Good, a little bend in those knees. Once I take that little bend, you see I'm not doing any more, I'm just keeping it where it is. The hinge is happening at the hips, kind of like one of those pecking duck toys. Next, what we're gonna do is draw the belly button in and pretend, okay, do I have weight? Pretend I'm holding onto a suitcase as I do this. What would be the best protection for my low back? It's definitely gonna be engaging the core because that's gonna protect that spine in that point of transition. So I'm gonna draw that belly button in and do exactly what I just did. Over, toes come up a little bit, and then I'm gonna shove my hips forward at the top. Over, shove my hips forward at the top, and I'm gonna squeeze those glutes. That's the simple concept of the deadlift. You are using a slight bend in your knees to address the hamstring, keep that posterior chain in check, so we're really only focused on the hinge at the hip, but you're not continuing to bend your legs the way you do in a squat. We're not continuing to bend and straighten. Whereas this is mostly about the knees and the ankles, the deadlift is really just happening at those hips, very little flexion happening in the rest of the body. Now let's take this to one leg. This is gonna be a really good way to feel if you're working the right muscles because we really want that hamstring and glute to be getting the work here, less of the quad. So we're gonna use our same rules here. You're gonna step on one foot. I'm gonna have you guys actually just prop this back foot behind, kind of like a kickstand. So it's there if you need it, but it's not your primary focus. You are focused on your first standing leg here. You're gonna shoot the hips back behind you, flat back over, reach the chest for the ground, and you're gonna keep a small bend in that left leg and reach it over. And then you're gonna push the hips forward and stand it up, driving out of that standing heel. This back leg is here if you need it, but I'm pretty much keeping the weight off. Let's go hands in front of our chest here so we have a little bit of a target. We're gonna reach it down, and then we're gonna come up. Good, now let's bring our hands down so we're almost reaching for a foot off the ground or so. Down, we're just past the knee, and up. You guys know what's next. We're taking that back foot off. We're gonna see if you can balance from the standing position and get through that full movement without having to put that back foot down. A lot of you guys are gonna have trouble with this in the beginning. That is the whole point of this exercise for our running. Can we increase our balance and our ability on both sides of our body to make our overall running stronger? Each time we land, that is a little mini squat, little mini squat. If we can strengthen each of those individual steps, overall we're gonna be a lot less prone to injury. So we're taking that foot off here. You guys know the drill, small bend in that leg. Weights back on the heel, I'm lifting those toes a little bit. And I'm gonna draw that belly button in. Get a feel for my balance here. I can leave the arms down. I'm gonna push my hips back behind me, rocking back to that heel, flat back, chest reaches, but I'm not yanking the chin up, right? It's gonna be neutral the whole time. So I'm coming down, down, down. I find my balance. From here, what do? I push my butt forward to stand. You're gonna feel a lot of work in the quad, or sorry, not the quad, the calf. You're gonna feel probably in the bottom of the foot. You're definitely gonna feel that hamstring if you're doing this right. So let's try a couple more. Let's actually switch feet here. So assume we did some with the kickstand, now we take that off. We're gonna pull that belly button in, slight bend in the knee here, all the weight on my heel. Nice neutral chin, I come down. You can see bending the knee a little bit more than I started with, but not too much. And then I push the hip forward. So we're not squatting, but you're finding that knee bend just to give your hamstring space to get down. If you're really tight in the hamstring, you will probably need to take a larger bend so that it's not too much of a pull happening behind on that hamstring. So we reach it back, down. Yes, the foot's gonna wobble. That's the whole point, right? We're building that ankle strength, that knee stability. And one last thing to think about, shove that knee of the standing leg out to the side that you're on. If I'm on my right leg, I'm gonna shove that right knee, think right, 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 all the way to the right. What happens is it keeps you stacked right under the hip. What a lot of us tend to do is we cave in with that knee. If you've ever watched your slow motion running, you've probably seen that little knee start to collapse inside. When I work on these single leg deadlifts, I can push that knee out, keep that hip right over stacked. Woo. And then work on that balance. Let's try one more. I come back. Belly button stays in tight. I push it up. Every time you work on these, I want you guys to make sure that you're starting and ending from that stable standing position. If you can't even balance on one leg, this is not for you. I want you guys to wait until you've got that balance under control for a few seconds. Again, that back leg kickstand, totally an option, but I want you to focus on stable movement through that alternating single leg deadlift. When we do this in the workout at the end, I'm gonna have you guys switch legs. So you're gonna do one, you're gonna switch legs and do the other side, and you'll keep going back and forth. Okay, so the third movement here is gonna be a split lunge jump. This one's not as complicated for form, but it definitely gets the heart rate up. So when you do this in the workout, I want you to be doing it correctly. Slow down, only do these correctly. You do not wanna mess up a knee or an ankle doing it wrong. So what you're gonna do is find a little bit wider than hips width with those feet. Now we're gonna stagger, 1 foot in front, 1 foot behind. It's not too far apart. It's almost like if you had a box under you, you're on opposite side corners. You're up on the back toe, you're flat on the front foot. From here, I'm gonna have you guys basically reverse lunge from that first time we did this body weight, that very basic beginner body weight workout. I had you guys doing reverse lunges. We're gonna use those same mechanics here. I'm gonna shoot the hips back, bending both legs till I find a really kind of shallow reverse lunge position. What I'm really careful of is that this knee is not going past the toe. So my hips are back enough, I'm leaned over enough that I know I'm not gonna go past the ankle here with that knee. There are benefits, I've said this before, to doing past the ankle with that knee, but I'm not getting into it today. We're keeping things very basic and safe, and we are not really working on that flexion. So we're gonna come down here, small position. You're gonna be really on top of the heel of the front foot. Hands right in front here. I'm gonna get as low as I can while keeping my form. I'm gonna drive out of this front heel, explode off the ground 1 inch, tiny, tiny jump. I'm using the back toe and this quad to help assist. At the same time, I start to extend my hips, throw the arms back, and that jump happens at the top. So I'm down here, I'm gonna throw those arms back behind me, tiny jump. I land right back where I started. You can see I'm wavering around back here, but I'm gonna be down, big jump back, and land behind me. Now we want equal pressure coming out of both feet. That's the most challenging part of this. When I do it with some of my clients, I find that we get into a little bit of this kind of rocking horse situation, and it feels almost like a skip. I want you guys to be really exploding equally out of both feet. Down here, push, and push, just like that. Maybe I'm getting a little higher than 1 inch off the ground, but all you need is 1 inch. This really, really works the legs. You're gonna feel it in that quad, you're gonna feel it in that glute on the front leg. And let's try a couple on the other side. Foot's behind me. I'm a little wider than hips width here. I reach it down, hips back. You can see I'm practically flat, parallel to the ground with that chest, but my chin's neutral. Arms front, and I like to throw them back on the jump. One big piece of this is pushing the hips forward. You're not staying back. You are actually moving those hips forward to get full extension, full flexion in the hips and knees. That is the entire movement. When we do this in the workout, we're splitting the time up so you're getting both legs in the same amount of time you're doing each of the other movements for. So we are finishing with a hollow rock and hollow hold. I'm gonna show you both today, but this one is really, really some core control for you. This is not just about working on that summer body, getting that six pack. This is about, do I know how to engage my low core to keep me strong and supported through the full length of any run? I also meant to mention on that split lunge jump, that was majorly about just leg power and endurance for your running, higher speed, better turnover, overall endurance on those hills when things really start to burn. That's the main point of that, what I meant to say. But here we are down on the ground for that last movement. That hollow hold is what we're gonna start with. So many versions of this, so I'm gonna start from easiest and make it the hardest. You're gonna lay back. Now I'm gonna have you guys start by just pressing that low back right into the mat. So as much as you can, tipping the pelvis, you're pressing, 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 and you're starting to feel those low abs come on. What you can do to check this is just bring one knee at a time and back down. You cannot bring the knees in without using the abs. So you'll feel that start to turn on. Now for this hollow hold, what we're gonna do is lift our shoulder blades all the way off. So we're looking as much up to the knees as we can. We're gonna tuck that chin a little bit, and we're gonna start by just keeping those shoulders off. I'm gonna have you guys reach your arms behind you. At the very basic level, that is the hollow hold. We're in a scooped position, we're drilling that low back down, and we're holding that scoop. What you can do from here is lift one leg in the air, one knee into the chest. I am off, I'm not yanked up with my neck like this, I'm keeping it tucked and down, and I'm holding here. From here, I can bring one arm down, makes it a little easier. I can bring the other arm down even easier, but I'm keeping those shoulder blades off. The easiest version of your hollow hold, you guys, is gonna be two tucked legs, two arms down. I like to go palms up to work on that external rotation for the shoulders. That is the most basic level. As you add limbs, it gets harder. The full hollow hold is keeping your scoop with the arms up by the ears without yanking the neck like this. So you're tucked up like this, you're completely scooped so that there's no space for my hand to reach under your low back if I was there. You have to breathe during this movement. It is so small and so concentrated in that tiny little area that you've got to make sure your tension's out of the shoulders and neck and all put into the low core right here. This is really what's going to build that endurance in that low core. So you're going to lift up. Whatever version you guys want to try with me right now is fine. We could be tucked here and just breathing, just working on big inhales. Blow it out. Reach one leg out. Other leg, really doesn't matter which leg is out. You'll notice it really doesn't change things. And then full thing here. If you want to make it even harder, you're reaching the legs all the way down. The true hollow hold is actually, just came to me, it is a couple inches above the ground, so it is very challenging. I like to do a version kind of extended here, but if you really want to put it to the test, lower, but again, you can't let that back come off, and you hold. Now guys, you probably already guessed it, we're going to take this into a movement, a hollow rock. I'll sit up to explain. Basically, you're going to keep that position and you're using only core engagement as your momentum to get forward and back. We're tipping this position like a little boat. It is really tempting to turn it into sort of a little sit-up, but that is not the point, because from there, we completely break our position in half. We want to leave it as a whole and tip using just our core engagement to get there. So let me show you from the easiest version, just like we did with the hold. We come up, we're in our tuck, shoulders are off, arms scooped. I'm gonna have you guys drive the knees slightly back until your hips come off. From here, slightly forward till your shoulders come off. And back and forward, like this. For starting the rock, you can use the legs to move forward and back a little bit. Once you're in it, the legs stay where they are. It is just that tiny little deep press that low back into the ground to engage that core to come forward and back. So here we go. Start with some legs, and then just the shoulders need to come off. It's very small. Say that feels okay. We bring one arm up. Patient, let the legs come back on their own, let the body come back on its own. Let's go both arms together. Really squeezing. Keeping that head oriented up the whole time. Let's now try arms down, one leg out. Sometimes that leg offers a little bit extra weight and momentum, which is good. We bring both out together. Breathing. I only rock back when my core lets me. And you know what the final one, guys, is? We're gonna do full extended legs and arms. This is only for when you're ready, but I'm gonna show it to you to reference whenever you need to watch this video. Arms back, legs out. Let's go with the hard version. And then keep that chin tucked. It's not moving. Shoulders come off, hip come off, just like this. Now, if you're someone with very tight hip flexors or you start to really get a pinch in here, doing this correctly, you shouldn't even be using the hip flexors, but if you feel them really unable to turn off, I want you guys to bend those legs a little bit. So you've got a little relief from that angle, like that. You can even extend a little bit more. But the idea here is it's all abs. It is not your hips. If you feel your hips really gripping, you're probably moving the legs too much, and that's not what we want. We want strong, deep core muscles to really do the work here on this one. All right, guys, those are your 4 movements today, and here's how you're gonna combine them in a tough but efficient workout. Only 20 minutes long is this workout I'm giving you, but you can expand, of course, to make it worse. First thing you're gonna do is 1 minute of the crouched plank arm reaches. Alternating arms, remember not to twist or compromise that hip shoulder position. You're staying really stable in that core. You move into 1 minute of alternating single leg deadlifts. Remember to find your balance at the beginning and end of each deadlift before switching legs. Moving in to our split jump lunges. Those are gonna be really tough, which is why you're only doing 30 seconds of each side. You're gonna make sure you're keeping that knee vertical over the ankle on the front leg. You're pushing out of that front heel and the back toe, simultaneously hips extended at the top, throwing those arms behind you. You're finishing, you guys, with, of course, either the hollow rock or the hollow hold, and I challenge you to maybe do alternated back and forth. Rounds 1 and 3, you're doing the hold. Rounds 2 and 4, you're doing the rock. Challenge yourself to try both. Of course, you can modify. Tucked position easiest, fully extended hardest. Those are the 4 movements. The only one you're switching in the middle of is the split lunge. So you've got 30 of each. Everything else you're doing for a full minute. You're gonna save about 5 seconds at the end of each minute to transition to the next movement. In the 5th minute of each round, you are gonna fully rest. So you're barely getting any rest between movements because you're switching from one thing to the next, just changing that effort from one movement to the next. So different areas will be burning, kind of taking that load off. Remember to breathe nice and deep through everything, but you are getting that 5th minute in each of the rounds to fully recover and rest. Remember, big inhales, fill up the stomach, fully release, and just try to catch your breath during that minute before you go back to the beginning again. You guys are doing 4 rounds of this. Please tell me how it went for you. If it's too hard, just move slower. If you need to take breaks within each minute, do it. If you want to go 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off in each minute, and take your 5th minute of rest in each round, do it. I'll have everything written below, but this is a good up level, one step up from what I gave you guys before in that very first starter strength workout for runners. This one you're gonna definitely feel. It's a great travel workout and it should give you some really strong benefits in your running, even if you do it just once or twice a week. Guys, that was a lot today. Just try to keep up as much as you can. Drop any questions below, and of course, request other videos in the comments. Subscribe. I will see you guys another day. See ya.